Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. In this video, kind of like last night's video, you know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm about to do? I'm about to swipe right. I'm gonna swipe right on you. You know why I'm gonna swipe right on you? Because when I swipe right on you, I can't see the comments. And you know what? Last night I really didn't get distracted by comments. And I was able to clearly think and say what I wanted to say. So I think from here on out that I need to swipe right on comments. Now, I did go back and look at some comments, and some comments were very ignorant. Some comments were very hypocritical. Uh, some comments I saw it seemed like some people were threatening, kind of almost telemarketing or telegraphing some threats to people who do what Kyle Larson did. And I want to lead this off by saying, I do want to lead this off by saying, once again, if you're tuning in, I have chosen today, just like last night, to swipe right on you. I have swiped right on you. I cannot see your comments. I'll read them later. But for those who, and I want to lead off with this, and it's probably going to go into a conversation. There were some points last night I did go back and watch, because when I'm talking to y'all, I just want to talk. And I feel like I'm bringing some common sense, some true fixing opportunities to what's going on. Of course, for those who didn't stay around too much last night, I've suggested a lot of people get into office and politics because I think we're way too disconnected in society. And I think that the TV and the politicians and the media, they know this. And they, instead of us going out and talking to one another and figuring out how each cultures operate and what's being said and how people are feeling and how the intent of each other's words are, instead of us figuring that out for ourselves. And this is broad. This isn't just in racism. This is in political ideology, religion ideology. I would suggest those who are threatening violence that you should probably get into some religion, believe in a God that is that's why you pray every day. Most of your Christian and abroad. See, I'm being me personally. I'm right there. I'm being judgmental because I'm saying a Christian. Like that's the only one that prays for a higher power's understanding or a higher power's judgment. So for those out there who are threatening violence against those who are using the N-word, I understand where you're coming from. But fortunately or unfortunately, for one thing, I think you should get into religion, get into a God. You can't change the world. And believe in somebody who is a higher power, who is, the judge of all judges. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to talk about different perspectives. I'm here to talk about how people think and how people feel so that we can get to an understanding of one another. Because right now, obviously, we don't understand one another. Now, what I was just saying is, unfortunately or fortunately, for those who are threatening violence, we as a society, as a world, have built jails for you. We look back at Constantine, we look back at different wars that were fought off based on ideologies. We literally said that's messed up. Some people come from different cultures and we just can't attack them because a lot of lives were killed and destroyed, and different cultures warred and literal destruction of people, true violence based on ideology. So when I say we made jails for the ones threatening violence, we also gave rights to the Kyle Larsons of the world. Fortunately and unfortunately, I use that term once again, fortunately or unfortunately, because there's so many perspectives out there. And we're going to get into them. I'm opening up with this right now as we get more viewers coming in. Fortunately or unfortunately, there's many perspectives out there. And us as an American society, and even you could almost call it a God-given right, we have put in our Constitution the freedom of speech. Well, if you want to leave and just lose your cannon and go crazy, once again, you know, we are jailed. I think we're jailed in cultural disconnection. And we're jailed by people on televisions telling us what people think and all that. But let me dive into this. Fortunately or unfortunately, it is Kyle Larson's right to say the N-word. I don't agree with it at all. I don't agree. I think it's a big misunderstanding. We're going to get into that very quickly here. But I just had me a very long conversation with a football player from LSU. Dude's into racing now, but you know, he's a big guy, a big guy, and I did not back down from this because fear is what, and people being scared is what breeds the Kyle Larson situation. In a way. Because they're scared of that violence. They're scared of what's about. Kyle Larson, you are terrified right now. And I don't think that we are going to get people to stop saying offensive language. I proposed to somebody who was a little upset last night in the comments. We're not going to stop offensive language based on... Let me finish this. So many thoughts running through my mind on this because this is a very important topic. We're not going to get people to stop saying this language based on fear. That, once again, that goes back to different cultures and warring and killing one another based on what we think is right or wrong. But we are never, ever going to get people to change what they say, how they say it, or anything along those lines based on fear. Kyle Larson about to go out and get destroyed today by the world. That's not going to get him to stop saying the N-word. That's just going to make sure that he don't push the wrong button when he says it next time. The way to stop Kyle Larson from saying the N-word is to openly talk about it. Understanding why. Now, there's a lot of social justice people out there who yell and scream, oh, dude, whatever. But there's a lot of hypocrisy out there as well. I responded to one of the comments, the only comment I responded to from the video last night, which has got 11,000 views. And I think a lot of people need to see what I had to say last night. And this person was very against the use of the N-word with an A or an ER, and we're going to get into that bullshit. And, you know, was very upset. To the point you could feel like this person wanted to commit a violent act to somebody who uses it. And I responded and I said, well, what do you think about the word, and I do not use this, but I'm going to use it because I wrote it in quotation marks, How do you feel about people saying the word faggot? This is another word out there that is very cruel word to people. People have died over this word. People have lost their families over sexual orientation. You know, their lives have been destroyed. Dyke's another one. If we're going to get into offensive language, which one's right, which one's wrong? That's why I say hypocrisy runs rampant. You know, just because the person I responded to there, I don't think he's ever said it. But I've seen racers get mad. I've seen regular people in the world out here get into a conversation and use that language. Now, should their life be destroyed? Should they be exposed for using that language? And some people may say in the Christian or faith religion community, oh, well, it's an abomination of God, you know, Solomon and Gomorrah and all that, use their stories. But I'll reiterate to you that Solomon and Gomorrah, and when you go study what God did destroy, if you believe in it, in the story of the city that ran rampant in sexual orientation and just sexual pleasure and gold and all this stuff, and God took down the land, which is scary because it's pretty similar today. But he also killed people. In the story of Solomon and Gomorrah, people were not just gay or a faggot, as some people may say. They also there were straight relationships where God abolished oral sex and anal sex. So that is my defense to people who want to hate on gays and say you're going to hell. Well, fact of the matter is, buddy, if you like getting a blowjob from your girlfriend or wife, or you like backdoor fun, you're going right down the tank with them. And that's just fact. Based on your grandest story of God's hatred of a certain sexual orientation. Now, I don't think that word's right or at all, but at the same time, if somebody wants to call someone a faggot, they have a right to do that. It's called freedom of speech, and God talks about this too. It's a human right to say that we have recognized the human right to say what we think and to not be persecuted for it. Now, at the same time, we made laws. We created laws to, if a person wants to commit violent act on this person that we gave the right to say this, you get put in this thing we built called jail. Now, I am not saying that a person don't deserve to get their ass whooped or not. But there's a lot of people out here that are not saying what they think due to this fear of getting attacked. And that attack word is not necessarily reserved for just physical attack, as Kyle Larson's about to find out. Because Kyle Larson's going to get attacked verbally. And that could be worse than a violent attack. Because, once again, human beings are not dominant on the planet because of our strength. We are dominant on the planet because of our mind. Now, if you want to say, well, we can kick every animal's ass, that is because our mind created weapons. Anyway, that is a big problem. Because way too many people are threatening violence. Now, people may say, oh, well, Chaz, you drove from Florida to Stockton to whoop some ass. My video's still up on the Chaz, on my Facebook page of the Chaz, of when that Florida deal went down. And as much as you say I may be the violent attacker, because you're a liar, I was the person saying what I think. And all these people on Facebook were saying they were going to attack me for saying what I thought. And if you go look at the video, and pretty much every video I've made, when I've had this drive across the country scenario, it has always said, we can talk about it, but if you want to whoop my ass, here I come. If you want to whoop my ass for what I think, here I come. And you can do it. And more than likely, you're not going to do it because you're just talking shit. Now, even for those who are not talking shit, you are a part of the problem. Once again, we made rights for Kyle Larson. We built jails for you. Now, me running for president 2024, I think that's one of the first things we need to do as far as the justice system. Cap certain amounts people can spend on lawyers so more people are treated fairly in the justice system. Because there's a lot of people out there committing crimes that a regular person would be prosecuted and sent to jail for, or a rich person can just get a big giant ass lawyer and get off with a slap on the wrist. That's one of the biggest problems in society right now. So that's one thing that's going to change. But anyway, that is unfortunately, or fortunately, because I do believe, or unfortunately or fortunately, the situation. We made rights for Kyle Larson to say the N-word. We built jails for people who want to attack him for it. That's the situation. When I say unfortunate or fortunately, honestly, I think that it is a fortunate thing. Because if Kyle Larsons of the world, who say this in a backdoor or private setting, we're not scared to talk about what they're saying and how they mean it publicly, then it wouldn't be such of a shocker when it happens. And I, once again, do not agree with what he said at all, but I defended Michael Facento when he said the same. Now, they were live videos, so the videos didn't save, but I defended Facento not because I agreed with Facento, but because Kyle Larson didn't come out and defend him. Now, is this going to be karma? You know, if what happened to Facento happened and half the damn pitting area said we all do it too, don't do this to this guy, and I even said this, a whole giant discussion came out to society with a group of people saying, this is what this means, this is why we're saying it, we don't mean this, we don't mean that. Yeah, people would have been mad still. They would have been upset. But we lack understanding of one another right now. We don't know anybody outside our small circles. Once again, media knows this, politicians know this, and they get on their TV and tell you what the other circle's saying and thinking. So that when Kyle Larson gets popped doing this, they're gonna just go tell the other circle what he did. And the other circle has no idea. And I'm not defending it. Once again, I'm breaking this down. What we don't do anymore. We don't talk about anything. This other circle over here is going to be losing their fucking mind. And then all these other circles are going to be fucking going nuts. And they're about to fucking attack him. He's about to get attacked like never before. But because you son of a bitches didn't stand, I did. The guy who don't agree with Facento. Because I made the point that there's a bunch of other people doing this and y'all fucking didn't? This is what's happening now. Now, let me break this down. This is where we're going to shift gears. We're not honest with one another. Cultures are disconnected. And the biggest fucking example of these disconnections, and I'm going to say this right now, and I told this to the 6'8", 300-pound LSU defensive lineman just 30 minutes ago, ready to get my ass whooped by him. And that's what happens. Once again, they made jails for you. And I think more people need to start getting prosecuted for that, honestly. I mean, don't let people call you a pussy and all this. We need to start standing up for American rights again. And you don't have to get your ass whooped to be who you are, Kyle. You don't have to get your ass whooped to be who you are, this guy or that guy, or say what you think. Unfortunately, no matter what disagreements there are, we made rights for you to say what you say, and this guy to say what you say. And if this dude wants to come over and whoop any of their asses, you go to jail. To protect his rights, we made these laws. But this is what I want to say now. And this is the number one defense right now of Kyle Larson that I've seen blanketed. And some people will say, oh, well, you defended the same, you said the same thing. No. When you ignorant, which ignorant, for those who don't understand, ignorant and stupid are two different things. Stupid means that you understand what you're talking about, but you're still choosing the bitter path. Ignorant means you don't understand, and you're just talking out your fucking ass like an ignorant human being. Now you have the option to still be stupid, or you have the option to understand. There's two roads to go from ignorant. Actually, there's only one. If you don't want to be a fucking useless human being, there's only one way to go from ignorance, in my opinion, and that is understanding. If you want to go from ignorance to stupid, well, then you're what's holding the world behind. If you want to go from ignorance to understanding, then we can make the world a lot better fucking place. Now, what I want to say is for you ignorant people, and I almost want to say white people. I had this discussion with like I said, the 6'8", 300-pound LSU defensive lineman. When you say black people, especially when you're relating it to this Kyle Larson situation, when you say black people say the N-word to one another all the time, you are a fucking idiot. Because I'll go through this again. I grew up in a very multicultural area. You would call it the ghettos of Dallas, Texas. I grew up in my culture saying the N-word with the A at the end of it. My nigga please. Jackie Chan was saying, what's up my nigga? In Rush Hour. This was a part of my culture, so I know what you mean when you say that. I know what you mean, and a lot of people out here do too. A lot of these regular world people know what you're talking about. A lot of regular black people, a lot of regular Mexican people, a lot of regular white people, Puerto Rican, all these people that are saying it to one another. In the culture that they grew up in, and they're saying it in their cultural ways, just like I do. This is my culture. I know people say, or some extremists, I would call you, say, oh, well, the N-word, you're taking my culture. We saw this in the movie Malibu's Most Wanted, which was a movie about Jamie Kennedy. It was a very hilarious. It was a hilarious movie, basically parodied off of Eminem at the time. But there's a moment in there where the black guy said, "You're saying that word, you're still in my culture." Well, what is your culture? Your culture is what you were brought up in. That's your culture. I mean, we could talk about 1,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago. And I was wrong last night on Tyrone Crawford, which that guy is a UFC fighter now. He used to be a defensive lineman. But it's Tyrone Woodley, who's a UFC fighter. And there's a guy named Perry, a white dude named, I think it's Matt Perry. I looked it up last night. He said the N-word, nigga, on Twitter. My nigga, Tyrone Woodley. And they had to do an Instagram video and everything to try to break this down. And he goes in to say, well, I did my DNA test and I got 2% African American, so kiss my ass. This is the white guy saying that. So technically, it's a part of his descendant culture. And at the end of the day, we're all kind of mutts. You know, we're all kind of mutts. So we're all mixed breeds. You know, if you're still out there being purebreded, I feel sorry for you. Be honest with you. I feel sorry for you. But let me stay on point here. No, the word, the N word, with the ER at the end of it, has never, ever, ever, until apparently this, replaced the word widespread. And this Kyle Larson deal doesn't count. No. Let me take that back. Not even this Kyle. The N word with the ER at the end of it has never, ever, ever been said between black people as a term of endearment or a replacement for dude or bro. It has never, ever, ever, and this is where I'm going to make a bigger point, and this is why I'm taking back what I said about Kyle Larson. It has never been said across the entire society and been put in a movie as any kind of friendly endearment, buddy endearment, hey, how you doing endearment, or even a jokingly endearment like it has and was used in the 90s to pre-Obama becoming president era, which reignited these actual closet racists, reignited, which I don't even really blame you, it's your mommy and daddy who did this to you, reignited your race war, it seemed like, unfortunately. But the N-word with the ER added at the end of it, never has it ever in any way been societally accepted as a bro dude replacement term, which is what black people say it to each other at with the fucking end. You know why the system didn't like that and took it away, made a big deal? Because rappers and people from poorly oppressed areas took this fucking word that they used to destroy the black community. These people that they economically destroyed throughout the, I mean, segregation's a whole nother topic, but from the early 60s to late 70s, there was a lot of bullshit going on. And people got fucked over, especially black people. And when these fucking black people came up out of the ghetto and took this powerful word that the white man had always used to segregate the two sides, because there's some fucked off white people up in there, you idiotic people. If you don't know it, go look it up. Don't take but an hour's research to realize some fucked off shit. But when these black rappers and people who came out of the oppressed area took their word, threw a slang term on it, and then had all the white people and black people saying it to one another as a friend, it shocked the hell out of these rich fucking old school plantation owners. Because I truly do believe that there are some powerful people in this fucking country that just because you abolish slavery don't mean that these gigantic plantation multimillionaires back in the day just went away. They didn't go anywhere. Slavery went away. Oh, slavery went away. But these people who made all the money through slavery, they didn't go away. And their descendants probably have a lot of money. Because back then, your plantation owners owned a lot of shit. A lot of land. And had a lot of money. So, in my mind, the reason the N word with the A at the end of it was kind of, systematically hated by the higher society was because the segregated, economically destroyed area of the black people came out from that area that they tried to destroy. Some inspirational rappers who are artists, let's just say it, artists, came out of this area and changed society. Especially the young culture, as myself, as the examples I'm giving you. So when you say, you ignorant person, or people, because there's a lot of them, I saw too many comments. When you say black people say the N-word to one another, when you reference the Facento or the Kyle Larson situation, you are completely fucking wrong. And you have disproved my point on how we are disconnected throughout cultures. And we have no idea what the other circle's even saying because we're not out here dealing with one another. We're out here being fake. And you know what? To be honest with you, we're out here being scared. We're scared to have these conversations I'm having right now on camera because of what's about to happen to Kyle Larson. You're scared of getting violently attacked. You're scared of getting publicly destroyed. And honestly, I do not agree at all with the way Kyle Larson used it. The ER, I think maybe where he and maybe a lot of people that are using it with the ER in this almost N-word with the A at the end of it kind of way between one another in this circle. I'll just call it a circle because it's not necessarily based on skin color. He's Asian. And I'm not necessarily saying that just racing people say this. I'm a true believer that there's probably a lot of country-esque white people. There's a circle out there where white people are saying it to one another in a friendly way with the ER. I'm acknowledging that. Obviously, it's happening. I think it's a very small segment, and I think that when you give the excuse that black people say it to one another all the time, you might want to get your fucking letters right and not wrong. ER is emergency room, okay? ER is an emergency issue. A is like, what you think Kyle Larson just did. That N-word with the A at it is a friendly endearment as a bro, as dude. That was created by black people and dispersed throughout society in music and movies and was widely acceptable because they created it, not you. Do you understand? The reason the ER is so much worse is the white man created that. The white man threw that label on the black man. The reason the N-word with the A at the end of it is not the same is because that was induced into society in the bro-dude connotation that it is being used today by black people. Now, there's some people out there that really don't want you to say it either because you're white. I can do it, you can't. Well, to those people, I respectfully disagree. because at that point you're being racist. And I think something that white people are deathly afraid of, and it's really what anyone's afraid of, but I do think white people as a society are scared, similar to other times in history, is you're scared of, and we have to, I think it's a very important thing that us in society, we have to figure out this balance. Because you look at history, and if we don't figure out this balance, bad things do actually happen. But we have to figure out a point, and this is what I think a lot of white people are scared of. They are scared, and I think black people and media knows this. They are scared of what happened to black people that was caused by white people. Even though I understand where you're coming from, I didn't have a slave, blah, 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 okay? But they're scared of what happened to black people induced by white people happening to them. They're scared of the table turning. Because I will agree with you. Now, you do have some, I'm going to go into slavery history. Slavery history is black on black. There's white on white slavery, the Irish. We have all these different examples. If you want to just talk about recent history, because actual history is thousands and millions of years old, which would make American history look like a little bitty speck of the example of racism. But if you want to use American history, white people were here and black people were down here. Now, there was still, in these eras of slavery, white people, not all the way down, but right here. And these little white people right here were being used by these white people to be a good worker white person, because here's your example of what you don't want to be, black person. Do you want to be white guy and live above them and do the work? Or do you want to be that? Same reason they still have homeless people, and that's why they don't cure the homeless. The homeless being on the street is your example. You better get to work for me, boy. Which is why the dollar bill is the modern whip. But let's keep on going. And most people, these little white people down here, got kind of smart and saw this shit and said, oh, fuck no. And you got regular people like Lincoln's and the regular people that used to be in office and go to office. You know, you just have to be an American citizen to be a president. You can be a high school dropout. You only need 2 to 7 years of state citizenship to become a governor and run some stuff. You only need to be in a state for 12 months to become a mayor. These regular people back there said, the only fucking way, I see what this guy up here's doing. And this guy said, the only fucking way I see this is fucked up, this slavery, I see what he's doing to me, that's fucked up, and these motherfuckers are up in there running shit. But the vote matters, and there's more of us little white people down here than them up there. So these white people went into office to help these black people. Now, when I said white people are up here, on the grand scheme of things, that's what it was. Even when you include these little white people who weren't treated much better. But these little white people saw this bullshit. And these black people couldn't do shit about it because they didn't have no human rights. They were looked at as cattle. They were looked at as corn or a cash crop. And America wasn't just guilty of this either. Go look up the history. Brazil was deep into slavery as well. So anyway, ever since that happened, we slowly got the major scale slowly closer to equal. And I would say today, based on modern treatment, not 1980s, based on modern treatment in general society, we're close to, there's still a big issue. But we're closer to equality than ever. Now, there's a lot of bullshit in there. There's a lot of manipulation in there. There's a lot of people in media and politicians saying to the white people, oh, this is all bullshit. Fuck all this history. Oh, it doesn't fucking matter. And then there's people on the black person's side saying, oh, well, fuck these motherfuckers, they did all this, you know, and then they manipulate two sides. But I think what a lot of white people are worried about, and when you say that a white person growed up in a culturist era and taught from the black man how to use the N-word with the A at the end of it, when you say that white man can't do it, this is what they're worried about. They're worried about being treated unfairly too. White people are worried about being treated biasly because they're white. And here's the deal. We understood this. We wanted to change this. So we know how this motherfucker up here works. We were pissed off. We did something about it. But now that the spectrum has become closer, there's two sides up here running shit. Because if you want to ignore Egyptian history, you can, but there's some powerful black people out there too. And it could just be the regular white guy up there saying, oh, well, we got to work on fear-mongering now. And they separate us, they put us in our houses, they tell us what the other side say. We get this point right here. When you say that, you're starting to be like this and get this unfair treatment. And these white people are these white people. These white people that you're actually affecting in society are these white people. They're not these people. It's not hard to find out who these people are. And it's not hard to find out how these people are closer together than these motherfuckers ever will be. And it's real easy to see how these motherfuckers are manipulating these sides to hate one another for control based on ideology games. So I'm going to continue. That's breaking down the N-word. If you think black people say the N-word to one another, like Kyle Larson just did, you're fucking ignorant. And if my explanation on why it's okay for maybe people who were taught by black people how to use the N-word with the A at the end of it and how it was almost culturally acceptable, society acceptable in the mid to late 90s to Obama, then, and it still is today, depending on your age, it seems like, because ever since the Obama deal, they just started fucking, this dude started working again. That Obama dude did. They know what they do. They're not dumb. These people up here are not dumb. They've done this for a long time. They got the bloodline in them to prove it. I'm going to move on from this. But when you say that M-word is what black people say to one another all the time, you're fucking... If you just listen to what I said, at this point, you're fucking... You're stupid as fuck. You're dumb. In fact... Don't ever watch my shit again. Get the fuck off my page. Hate me. Sue me. Do something to me. Because right the fuck now, I don't even want to know who the fuck you are, dude. I really don't want to know who you are. I don't want to associate with you. I don't want to know you. Because you are the problem. You don't want to understand. You want to stay in your circle. And you want to build from there. That's what Hitler did. He didn't care to understand. And white and black people fought against his ass. Now, not gonna lie, little dude up here may have been playing some games. Even in World War II, playing some games. Playing some games. Never know. Never know. Historically, yes, he was playing games. But, I'm gonna move on from that explanation. And if you don't get it, then just like I said, get the fuck out. Don't talk to me or anything. Now I want to, unfortunately or fortunately, because I don't understand it, get over into what Kyle Larson said and how he said it. Apparently, probably from the ignorant circle out there, There are people saying the N word with the ER at the end of it as a replacement of bro or dude. And honestly, at the same time, I don't think. I'm gonna kind of be honest here. Or I'm gonna be on live camera, openly honest, not scared of judgment or violence. I kind of honestly think that how they are using it is not as a term of endearment. How it's being used is not in that bro dude way. It seems to be almost a smart ass way to say the N word with the ER at the end of it, almost playing off the N word with the A at the end of it. Because it does seem like the first thing you respond with is, oh, well, black people say it to them all the time. I just broke that down for you. Now, maybe you're stupid and you want to say it. Maybe you're ignorant and you want to say it. Now, unfortunately or fortunately, there is a subculture that is using that N word with the ER at the end of it. And most of the time, it seems to be the Facento way, where they got screwed over. Or it's a way to describe how you got, short-handed. Which, maybe for those who I just bridged the gap on the N word with the A at the end of it, maybe you can start understanding how that might be racist. How Larson even used it. Because for those in the white community, because I didn't just grow up around black people, all that shit talk we do about work boots, or y'all do. I'm trying to relate to the people out there. Work boots, lazy, all these things that they said about black people that you just copycatted, you just sheep followed. Black people lazy. Black people screw you over, not do the job right. All these bullshit stereotypes that ain't really real, just shit to talk between the different races. Because everybody, all these, unfortunately, all these racists or different races are kind of racist behind closed doors, which is another issue. It feeds right back to the system. Feeds right back to the system to where the TV can tell you what the other person says, as long as they can keep you segregated and racist to a little small point. But that's where, maybe you don't know it, that's where what y'all are saying, Facento and Larson, I'm being real with you, might actually truly be racist. If you've listened to everything I've said here, the N word with the A at the end of it wasn't spurred out of any a negative connotation. It wasn't spurred out of anything derogatory. It's bro, it's dude. It's a replacement of something like that. Whereas, in Facento's case, when you're like, he N-word with the ER at the end of it to me. Oh, so he did you wrong. Oh, okay. Oh, he did you wrong, so he must be that. Why is that? Think about that. Why is that, even in your little circle you got? Why is that N-word with the ER at the end of it? Even if it's not about a black person. Why is the meaning, the replacement word of what you're saying, a derogatory term? It's still a derogatory term, apparently. He N-worded me. Or when Kyle Larson used it, oh, you can't hear me? You can't hear me? Hey, N-word with the ER at the end of it. Oh, you're not good at listening, huh, boy? Something to think about in y'all's little circle. But maybe y'all sit back and say, black people say it to each other all the time. And maybe all of this spurred off in y'all's little circle is based on ignorance. Because you don't care to understand. And that's the biggest problem with society right now is we don't care to understand one another or talk or have any public representatives that are trying to lead those talks. Because these public representatives would rather lead a side than lead each other together. They'd rather fight each other. They'd rather be the savior of the one side versus the other, the warrior, the super ego. It's sad what they do. So you might want to think about that. I haven't really ever thought about it like that until I just broke it down myself with what I think and say and said it to y'all. But honestly, how y'all are using it in this little circle y'all got, it has no comparison. I was originally when I got on here, I was going to say, well, maybe the N word in this little circle, that how Kyle Larson used it, is similar to the N word with the A at the end of it. You know, it's a bro dude, you know, somewhat of a positive terminology. But after I just explained it to me and you, I don't think that's the case. Because the way you are using it in your little circles is derogatory. It's not like somebody goes and gets you some plant-based meal and you said, oh, thanks, N-word with the ER at the end of it. Y'all don't do that. It's not like somebody, hey, will you give me that set of tear-offs over there? Oh, thanks, N-word with the ER at the end of it. Or say your girlfriend goes and draws your number and she comes back and tells you what it is and you're like, oh, thank you with the N-word at the end, ER at the end of it. Nothing like that, is it? It's always derogatory. It's always somebody that fucked you over, right? Or didn't listen. Didn't listen good enough. You there? I'm realizing this with y'all. So think about that. Think about where it's coming from. And if you think that black people say the N-word to one another all the time, you're 100% wrong. You're wrong, especially in the way you're saying it. But unfortunately, and I'm going to end with this. We're going to close here in a second. Thanks for tuning in, by the way. If you want to send some stars, you can. I'm done with giving a fuck about what numbers I get. I'm done with giving a fuck about who cares, who supports. I'm just going to say some fucking truth. If you don't like it, whoop my fucking ass. Well, actually, you're going to go to jail. I'm not. Call me a pussy, fuck you. I'm not going to be scared to say what I think. I'm going to recognize that there are rights that I have as a human being, and there are laws against you. And I am going to end with that, unfortunately. Now, for everyone who listened to what I have said, whether you agree, disagree, whatever, say you've heard what I've said and you say, I'm still going to say it. I'm still going to say the N-word with the ER at the end of it. I don't give a damn. Fuck this white boy trying to reason with me. He's part of them. Say whatever, fuck, the most extremist view you can have. Whatever. And I'm going to talk to those people out there who are saying, yeah, he's making sense. This is what he's saying is true. Yeah, they shouldn't say it. They shouldn't. Or even if you disagree with me, and we're with the ad end of it. I know I got some black people watching right now. You know, and even using the word black is somewhat racist in a way. But that's just what we're culturally brought up in. But I'm going to end with this. Unfortunately or fortunately, and I'm going to say fortunately, whether Kyle Larson or anyone in this fucking world goes out in this public and says something you don't like, fortunately, it is his right to do so. And we have built jails and laws against you for wanting to attack him. Now, this public attacking thing needs to maybe start getting some laws built in. Because this media that hasn't been around forever, this TV that's only been around in every household for about 45 50 years max. This is a whole nother way to attack you, and it's mentally. So we may need to build some laws. And like I said, I'm running president 2024. We may need to build some laws against how media attacks people, because we already got laws for how you can get physically attacked. We ain't got laws against media because it's so new. But unfortunately, or I'm going to say fortunately, Kyle Larson has the right, the American God-given right, to say whatever the fuck he wants to. And we don't have the right to attack him. If you believe in a God, if you believe in an aura that controls shit, leave that up to fucking him. And if you don't believe in God, well then go whoop his ass and go to jail. Maybe you forgot the concept of praying. But that's what you're supposed to do. When you see something you don't like, you pray for him. You're supposed to help him get to heaven and all that. You're not supposed to whoop his ass or gang beat him or start tagging all the black people you know to get him. But the reason it is fortunate is, even if we don't agree with what Kyle Larson just said, Kyle Larson, with even that kind of language, with the ER at the end of it, hey, you say N-word with the A at the end of it, and you understand what I've explained here, you're not in this. But the Kyle Larson, who may have said it like he did, and maybe after I've explained how this ER at the end of it, you think it's not the same, it's pretty still derogatory even when you're using it. He's a part of the maybe 10%. He's a part of the maybe 10%. And even the most extreme racists out there, white or black, because there are some black supremacists out there. And white supremacists and black supremacists actually agree on a lot of shit. I've done my research. But he's a part of the 10%. We need to worry about this 90%. This 90% sees what Kyle Larson did, and more than likely, 90% of us wouldn't do that. We wouldn't use that language. We think it's fucked up. But we gotta draw the line. We have to draw the line as a society on attacking him for exercising his right that we've given him, his God-given right, his human right to say what he thinks, no matter if we agree with him or not. If we act in aggression or destroy a life because of a giant disagreement, then we are, in essence, acting like Hitler. We're killing people based on what we think versus what they think. Or you're acting like the Crusades or the Mongols or any army that throughout history wiped out in a complete other culture because they didn't think the same as them. Native Americans, whatever you want to say. Throughout history, this is how people get killed. Because we've lost respect. Now there's a weird, fucked up respect in saying Kyle Larson has the right to say the N-word with the ER at the end of it. And there's a weird, fucked up respect that anyone can go say whatever the fuck they want. Whether it's N-word with the ER at it, saying it at a black person. Meaning it in the way that it was horribly meant. That son of a bitch has the right. But the worst thing, the way Hitler armies get created, the way real danger is formulated, is when we, in the 90%, say that you can't say that. Because that doesn't stop them from saying it. That right there makes them go in the back room and start saying it. That's what makes him and a few others, and not necessarily him, like, I'm just giving an extreme state, guys out there saying N-word with the ER really meaning it. That takes that guy in the back room. Now all his buddies that say it too, they're hidden, they're within. That's when you get malicious. based on this ideology because society's told them that I can't do it. Well, I'm going to. And then they surround themselves with the same hatred of people. And then they build and they build and they build. And the next thing you know, you got Nazi Germany. And that's why it is fortunate that there's a human God-given right that people can go out here and say whatever the fuck they want without being attacked. Because the only way to get that guy to stop using that language is if he believes he should not. But the one thing that's going to make sure he always says it is when you tell him he can't. That is manipulation 101. When you tell a human being he can't do something, he's going to make it a goal of his life that he will and that he can. So the only way to stop these malicious, these people out here saying all this crazy shit. I'm not just talking about Kyle Larson, N-word, ER. There's all kinds of crazy, crazy shit people believe in. They're saying it behind closed doors. The only way we get them to change that is if they believe it. Not over fear. Fear of the society punishing them and getting them in trouble. That's just going to make them go deeper into the woods to say it. They have to believe that it's wrong. And the only way they're going to believe that it's wrong is when they go out into society and they say it. Instead, they say the N-word with the ER to a black guy and they mean it. It's for that black guy to come over and explain to him why he shouldn't. If you go over there and attack him, though, this world's full of fucking idiots. And there'll be people who see that happen and want to fight for them, too. And that's how you get that clash, that fight between sides of ideologies when we lack understanding of one another. We have to bring common sense and understanding back to this fucking world. And the only way that's going to happen is with people like you and me. And that's why I'm advising everyone to run for office. Look at what these heartless, gutless governors are doing to us over the bronchitis 2.3. They can do what they're doing right now every year. All they got to do is say bronchitis 2.3. Say it's out there. A few, 20,000 people. You think they care about 20,000 people dying? Look at what they've done to people in the wars. They send you out front lines, kill you, send you back home, and let you be homeless on the street. Look at the VA system. We as regular people need to start getting on phones, getting on TVs, and telling each other what the fuck people think without being scared. So, that's why I advise everyone to run for office. That's why I'm running for president 2024. I'll lead the fucking way. I'll go to the biggest fucking game there is and try to throw the best ball I can to inspire you son of a bitches. I'm going to win the fucking game. Probably ain't going to be a good shot, but it'll inspire a lot of people with heart and care for the common man to get out here and start straightening up what the fuck they've turned sideways and blew all the fucking tires out and they've wrecked this fucking race car shit. It's the fucking Ryan Newman Daytona 500 Koch brother bull. They destroyed this motherfucker. And people's lives are dying right now. Kyle Larson's life is about to get really fucking affected. And it's because of exactly what I'm talking about. It's a lack of understanding between people in different communities, different circles, and in society. Because we've been sheep watching this fucking TV for 40 years to tell us what other people think. Instead of saying something about it. And we ain't got no regular people in office. The closest thing we have to regular people in office is a game show host billionaire with a silver spoon in his mouth since birth. We need regular people in here telling everyone what's going on. But anyway, Kyle, maybe you've listened to what I just said. And hell, I admitted I even listened to what I just said. And that's a huge epiphany for me, what just happened. And maybe it could be a huge epiphany for you. And anyone out there using the N word with the ER at the end of it, thinking that it's just like the black people do. No, it's not. It's not bro or dude when you're using it, is it? It's when somebody fucks you over or can't hear you. So, and you're adding some kind of spun, smart-ass joke at black people using the N-word all the time, too, by making it a derogatory, jokingly fashion. Or when somebody wrecks you. So think about that. I like I said, I just thought about it, just said it while I was explaining everything, and fucking makes sense to me, guys. I planned on coming on here and saying maybe this N-word with the ER is kind of like the little circle white people that have evolved the word, and it's just like the M with the A, but it's similar. That's how I planned on saying it, but it's not. Even how you're using it, no, it's not. It's in a derogatory way in every single fashion that you're using it, or it's when someone can't hear you or do what you say. So, and even though you have evolved it, because obviously it's not labeling black people, it's still describing when something is done wrong or not to your standard. So, it is kind of about black people, guys, unfortunately. But I still don't think Kyle Larson should be destroyed. I think he has the right, the American right, to say what he says. And for those who want to attack him and destroy him, we built jails for you infringing on his rights. And him coming out and saying it should, just like when I said when Facino did it, spur these discussions and get this shit out to people so they're not fucking ignorant. You know? So, I mean, you are using it however you are using it. And in my opinion, maybe you have woke up, but I kind of just realized myself, it's still really bad. It's not as bad because you're not talking about a black person. You're saying it to a friend, but it's still in a derogatory connotation. Whereas the N-word, like I say it, nigga, please. What's up, my nigga? Dude, what's up, bro? Dude, come on. Different. Completely different. So anyways, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Share the video, like the video. I'll read the comments afterwards. I like how this went. And just for those of you who want to act out in violence against these people, you need to find a God and really believe in that God. Because if you are truly a God believer in most religions, you believe that there is one judge and that what's right and wrong is right and wrong, and he knows, not you. He knows more than you. His wisdom is way beyond yours. And you're supposed to obey the laws of the land. And the laws of the land say God built the laws of the land with the jail to put you in it for not letting him say what he wants to fucking say. So, that's a very important thing to think about. You need to find you a God that you believe in, those who want to act in violence, and pray for these people like you're supposed to. And like I said, there is some hypocrisy in this because there's other horrible slang terms that people are okay with hearing or saying that the standard of hypocrisy. So it's very interesting. But we'll talk to you next time, ladies and gentlemen. Give me a like, give me a comment, message me like the LSU defensive lineman, 6'8", 300 pounds, did earlier this morning. We'll talk about it. I don't mind messaging and talking to people all the time. That's what I'm going to have to get used to running for president here in 2024. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. I want to give a big shout out to Prince. That's the guy's first name from LSU. Big shout out. Talk to you later. Former defensive lineman from LSU. All right. See you later.